Hey everybody, James Spahn's White Box Cyclopedia Kickstarter is live as of this video, and I'm gonna have a link, of course, down in the description or a pinned comment if you want to go check it out. But more than anything, I want to let you know that James has given me the draft copy of the book. I can't show it to you, but I can tell you what's in it. So you're going to get a lot more information here in this video if you want to back this Kickstarter than any other source. The campaign page on Kickstarter or anything you've read online, because I've got it right here in front of me. Like I said, I wish I could show it to you, but it hasn't been laid out. There's no art and stuff like that. And I'm just going to kind of tell you what I think about it and some of the stuff that's in it. So this is James Spahn, who's done a lot of stuff for White Box over the years. All his material and the core White Box rules with the blessing of Matt Finch, who created White Box. And a lot of people have picked up different versions of White Box over the years. And so this is nice, to have all the other material that's been made kind of all in one big book with tons of options and to really expand the game if you want it to be expanded, because it is very modular. There is 30 classes. It calls races heritages, so there are a dozen heritages, 100 spells, over 200 monsters. Now it's got some really neat sections here on strongholds and seafaring, psychic powers and spell duels, chivalry, which is an extremely neat section, and natural born sorcery. And one of the rule sections that James most proud of is the custom rules for the referee to run campaigns that mimic your favorite Appendix N aspirations. And that's something that I know that people have asked about, more about that, and I'm going to tell you everything I can about that. So I'm going to have the link, like I said. You can check out the different rewards levels and more in depth about it. It's going to tell you right there a lot about it right there when you go check out the Kickstarter. He tells a little bit about himself, which I think he's been quite, he's left out a bunch of stuff that he's worked on, but it's all well and good. The cover is by Brett Barkley, and the interior art is by Hodag RPG. I'm going to have some of the art here just kind of scrolling by and looping on us there, the cover and then some of the inside art. And yeah, so let's go ahead and let's talk about what you're going to have inside. So it told you some classes and some heritages, and I'm going to tell you all of them right now. For heritages, you're going to have human, dwarf, elf, halfling, Dagonite, very neat. Definitely a H.P. Lovecraft type of vibe to it. Dhampir, gnome, goblin, half-elf, half-orc, river halfling, shadow elf, sylvan elf, and trollkin. Now when it comes to classes, you're going to have the cleric, fighter, magic user, acrobat, assassin, barbarian, bard, cavalier, druid, errant fool, friar, jester, metaphysician, monk, paladin, ranger, specialist, swashbuckler, thief, tomb raider, and wanderer. So just a huge amount of selection there for you. But the thing I want to stress more than anything, when it comes to the heritages and the classes, you've got your basic rules for those, but then you're going to have a lot of optional things that you can either include in your game or not. And that's where this game really expands on White Box. White Box has got such an easy rule set. It's very simple just to add a little optional rule to give that class or that heritage a little bit more ability. So it also has some heritage as class options too, which I enjoy those a lot. Some people don't. I've always enjoyed them, and we're going to go through them here. So you might hear me clicking away. There's a lot to this book. They say it's going to be about 250 pages. I think it might be more once they add the art. So I'm going to give you just a quick example of one of them and what I mean by the options. So you might have the Cavalier class, okay, a knight in shining armor. And it's going to give you their abilities. And then it's going to have a sidebar. There's going to be tons of sidebars in this book with a lot of optional rules. So maybe you give them a rallying cry as an ability, or they can raise the banner. They can create a coat of arms they display on a large banner that's typically displayed upon a pole bound to the cavalier's mount. As long as this banner is visible, the cavalier and their allies able to see it receive +2 bonus on all saving throws against spells and mind affecting abilities. So just being able to add that. And I think a lot of people will add those abilities because they're really good to kind of tweak that class or that heritage, because they're all going to get them as well. And that's really the strength when it comes to the heritage and the classes, is having those extra abilities with them. So, some really neat classes. I really like the Friar class. That's always a cool one. I like the Tomb Robber class and the Wanderer. Any class that lets you kind of survive and thrive off the land. I always enjoy those classes. Spiritualist is very neat, having to deal with the dead. And Tomb Robber, of course, is neat. They're kind of smart. They're your Indiana Jones type character. And like I said, every single one of these are going to have optional abilities that you can either add or not, or just kind of piecemeal it, however you want your game to be. If you don't think that really works in your campaign, then you can say no, you can't do that, or maybe yeah, you can. So I'm going to take a look here at some of the heritage by class. So that's going to be something that's, like I said, I enjoy it. I think it's pretty neat. There is the dwarf battle priest. There is the elf blade mage, which is in essence a hybrid of both fighter and magic user. And there's going to be optional rules for them as well. There's the halfling folk mage. So that's interesting. I had to look this up. It's Sidhe, and I believe it's pronounced she. It's a true fae or high elf, a creature of immortal beauty and inhuman grace. It's kind of a tall elf, extremely fae, as they say. You're going to have the sprite, and that's. I know there's always some fun sprite characters that some people play and enjoy. So right there, that's some neat, Heritage X class that you can choose from. And then even in the equipment, there's a couple of options you can have in there, such as cheating at cards and dice, using culinary combat if you want to use a pot as a weapon or a frying pan to hit something with. So it's got some options there. There's also Craftsman's Eye, where the dwarf can kind of look at a gem or jewel and determine its value or not. That's some neat stuff. I was interested to see, excited to see that there was actually optional rules for equipment. So that's neat. And then you can have your weapons. Now, if you're not, like I said, if you're not used to white box, very easy, 1d6. Like a dagger is 1d6 minus 1, and a club is just a 1d6. And it just makes it very easy to just grab that one die. You're not looking around for dice, especially if you got a new player. They don't know the dice very well. They can just grab that d6 that they probably already know and go to town on it. So I really like that about it. You're going to have some stuff like weapon qualities. Maybe it's cold iron, or it's a poor quality, or it's made out of silver. So that's neat. Again, a lot of these things I'm going to be spotlighting is going to be the optional stuff that this game's doing a little bit different that you may have not seen in other versions of White Box. There is equipment like gear packs, so you could have like a burglar's pack or a fool's pack. That way you go ahead and just get that, buy that, and get all that gear in one shot. That's very cool. And then there's some really great sections here on henchmen, loyalty, assistance. And this is where the book, I think, really makes its strides and does some cool stuff here. It's going to let you know about how you can have strongholds, an academy, and then optional rules for alternate academies, maybe like a bardic college or an arcane academy or a fencing academy. Very cool. Guild, alternate guilds, keeps, private residences, alternate private residences, maybe like a burrow for halflings or a lodge for human hunters. And you can have temples too, as well as alternate versions of those, like a grove or a monastery for the friar. And then there's a section all about chivalry and knighthood. Very strong section here about how to earn knighthood, what it entails. There's going to be a accolade roll that you're going to make. The more that you can get, of course, the better. And that's going to determine stuff like, what armor you get. Is it chainmail or is it plate mail? What type of weapon? Do you get a lance or a warhorse, and how much money you have? So it's really neat. And then it talks about, how you become a knight, what that means. Nightly training. You can get extra, in essence, trainings by spending experience points to enhance your character even more. And then you've got knightly styles. So what that is like the house knight. You're more home at court than on the battlefield. You can spend experience points to get new kind of abilities for that type of knight. Like with the house knight, maybe for 1,000 experience points, you get +1 loyalty to all allies at court. Or later on, you can cast Charm Person once per day, but the duration is only 1 hour. So, and it's like that for all the different types of knight that you can choose from. There's a knight errant, there's a knight protector, there's a low templar, there's even a tournament knight if you like to do a bunch of festivals and jousting. Very neat how the acolyte rating works with being a knight, and certain rewards that you're going to be able to get with it as well. And then we're going to get into the main section on playing the game. Movement, combat, initiative rules, and maybe some optional rules like declaring actions, or maybe keeping a weathered eye, in which if the characters are saying that they're being cautious, then maybe they only get surprised on a 1d6 instead of 2 on 1d6. So stuff like that. Critical hits and helmets, maybe spell spellcasting composure if you get hit, and then there's a bunch of detailed miscellaneous actions you can add to your game. And these are things that we kind of know: charging, cover, dodging, parrying, things like that. There's splintered shields, optional rules, and then rules to deal with death. Normally on death, you just, once you hit 0 hit points, that's it, you're dead. But these optional death door rules are neat, constitution based or level based, kind of like DCC. Saving throws or 10 below. We used to play 10 below a lot with second edition D&D, so it's cool to see that there. All the rules you would expect to see: listening at doors, torches and lanterns, and then there's a good section on wilderness exploration and hex crawling, rough terrain and foraging and starvation. I really like these sections because they're going to kind of go into the different type of Appendix N type settings that you can create, letting you know how much food and water you need to drink, and then what that would be if you're in a desert, the mountain, swamp, or tundra. So very cool. Great section on seafaring here when it comes to movement and wind and different encounter tables, how to do combat, setting ships on fire. Just a really good section. We've got an example of play as well, will be in the book, so that's helpful. A big, robust section on magic. There's not too much here that's really outside the bar of what you know. It's got some neat rules when it comes to some options here and there, but a lot of different spells for, of course, arcane and more of the healing type of characters. And then a great section to help people run the game, telling you about how games should be fun, and it's more than just your character sheet, stuff like that. When to ignore a rule and when to let it, let it stand, how to design adventures and creating campaigns. A lot of stuff that's going to be helpful to people. And then you're going to have this great section here in which you can run a certain subgenre of fantasy that you may enjoy. And of course, you'll get what these are. You're going to have like a City of Thieves, okay? So a low magic setting where the recommended heritage is just humans, and it's got a recommended classes. So like fighter, acrobat, assassin, barbarian, swashbuckler, thief, and tomb robber. But then it kind of changes and tweaks the rules. So pretty much in a City of Thieves campaign, while classes with the thievery ability are obviously the most skilled at acts of larceny, everyone in City of Thieves knows a thing or two about clandestine endeavors. All characters who do not receive the thievery ability as part of their class have thievery of 1. So it gives everybody kind of the thievery ability. Never trust sorcery. There's a backlash of sorcery table. Sorcery inevitably corrupts the soul, and it can shift you towards a chaotic alignment. There's a thing here about 'tis but a scratch, in which you heal faster. And then you're going to have a trust to luck, where everyone's going to start with a lucky coin. And maybe you can have it a physical coin at the table there that you use, and you can spend it for a bonus to an attack roll or a saving throw. So trying to help reproduce that City of Thieves type subgenre. There's also fairy stories, which is very much a good versus evil with their own rules, recommended heritages and classes. And so that's how you're able to do this, is just tweaking little things here and there, letting you know what type heritage and classes should be in there. And then adding on some neat little rules, like the Gothic horror section is going to have a corruption modifier and dread, in which places are going to obviously, put out dread to you. And it's going to be fun. That's going to be good. I always like kind of Gothic stuff. You're going to have Riddle of Steel, where you can obviously try to recreate Conan. It's a bleak and beautiful land. There are all characters, regardless of class, have the fighters fail lesser foes class ability. So a lot of hacking and slashing of lesser foes. Worship of dark masters, and going to deal with experience points and stuff like that to help recreate that Conan type of feel. You're also going to have carousing for XP, which is obviously very, very popular in a lot of games nowadays. So you're going to have that on your downtime. So I enjoy that section, of course. And then we're going to have the Bestiary, and this is fairly easy. And that's one thing I like about White Box. It's so easy. You're just going to have armor class, which is ascending, hit dice, attack bonus, their attacks, whatever special ability they have, and then that one saving throw, their move, and then how much experience they give you. And that's going to be really helpful. It also has something, in case you don't know, with White Box called hit dice equivalent. It's a way to kind of like show the difficulty of what that monster may be and whether or not the group is going to be able to have any trouble going up against it. A little bit way to kind of balance the encounters. So lots of monsters here, obviously. and I'm just clicking through it and just going through a whole page after page of these things. So it's always nice to have a lot of monsters, and you're going to get plenty with this. And then you're going to have a robust treasure section that it's going to be rolling randomly on tables, unique weapons and armor, and then unique magical items to round out the whole book. So really, that's where what you can see is going to be in this game. I can't stress enough all the optional stuff you can have in this game. It's not just going to be, here's some abilities. They're going to give you the basic ones, and then you're going to have all those different options to make the game yours. So that is looking at the draft. It's going to be probably much different a little bit. I'm interested to see how it's going to be when it's done. You can see some of the art there throughout that's been scrolling by there. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of that as it goes on. Who knows if there's going to be stretch goals and stuff like that. I know there's going to be some surprises that James has told me about. But very thankful for him for letting me see the draft and be able to look through it. I enjoy White Box. If you've never played it, it's just a very easy way to play D&D, original D&D. So, there's a lot of games, even games like that I've made, where, it's kind of like D&D. At least with this, with White Box, you're playing, a real version of the game that can maybe, you'll have tons of adventures with it. But if you want to introduce somebody to the hobby, maybe children or just maybe older players that want to kind of get back into it a little bit at a easier way of doing it, then I think White Box is the way to go. And that's where I would tell people a lot of times that's the way they should, that's the direction I would tell them to go. So there it is, White Box Cyclopedia. Again, I'll have a link down in the description. Thanks for checking out this video. I hope it's been helpful for you. Maybe if it's something in there that that I've told you about that helps you back the Kickstarter. It's already got tons of money and it's doing really great, especially in it's first day. So kudos to James. He's always had a big passion for White Box, and I'm glad he hasn't kind of let it drift off to the side. And hopefully for everyone, this will be kind of a definitive addition to White Box. So there it is. I appreciate everybody watching this video and subscribing to my channel. And I look forward to making more videos for you in the future. Thanks.